Michael stared at his late wife's phone on the kitchen counter, its cracked screen catching the afternoon light. He'd finally worked up the courage to sell it. 18 months after Angelica's death, he needed the closure. But when he powered it on to factory reset it, a notification lit up the screen. A message from yesterday. His blood ran cold. Angelica had been dead for a year and a half, buried in the cemetery across town, yet somehow, impossibly, her phone had received a text message less than 24 hours ago. The message preview read, "Same time next week? He still doesn't know." Michael's hands trembled as he unlocked the phone, and what he discovered in those next few minutes would unravel everything he thought he knew about his marriage, his grief, and the woman he'd spent the last 18 months mourning. But before we continue with this beautiful story, please kindly subscribe to this channel and comment where you are watching from, and also share below. What life or relationship challenge are you facing right now? Or what someone you know is going through? Don't forget to like this video as well. All these mean a lot to us. Michael Chen had always considered himself a rational man. At 42, he was a high school physics teacher who believed in observable phenomena and testable hypotheses. Grief, he'd learned, followed no such rules. It crashed over him in waves, unpredictable and merciless, even now, 18 months after the accident that took Angelica from him. The phone felt heavy in his palm. Angelica's phone, rose gold. She'd loved that color. He'd kept it charged all this time, couldn't bring himself to let it die completely. It felt like letting her go twice. He'd finally made the appointment at the phone store for 3 o'clock. The guy had been kind on the phone, said he could get Michael a decent price for it, even with the cracked screen. Angelica had dropped it in the Target parking lot 2 weeks before she died. She'd laughed about it, said it gave the phone character. Michael pressed the power button, watched the screen illuminate. The wallpaper showed the two of them at Lake Tahoe, Angelica's head thrown back in laughter, his arm around her waist. They'd been so happy that weekend. Or had they? That question had started needling him lately, creeping in during the quiet moments. That's when he saw it, the notification badge. One new message. His heart lurched. Probably spam, he told himself, some automated thing. But the preview made his stomach drop. Same time next week? He still doesn't know. Michael sank into the kitchen chair. His hands weren't steady anymore. He knew Angelica's passcode, her birthday backwards. She'd never been secretive about it. Why would she be? They'd trusted each other completely, hadn't they? He typed in the numbers. The phone unlocked. He navigated to messages, found the thread. The contact was saved as Dr. Mitchell. Michael didn't recognize the name. The message history went back 2 years, stopping abruptly a week before Angelica's death. His eyes scanned the messages, and with each one, the kitchen seemed to grow colder. Thursday at 2? The usual place? Perfect, can't wait to see you. He's working late again, we'll have plenty of time. Michael felt like he might vomit. He scrolled faster, his breath coming in short gasps. The messages were sporadic but consistent. Every week, sometimes twice a week, for nearly 6 months before Angelica died. There were no explicit confessions, nothing overtly romantic, but the intimacy in the tone was unmistakable. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. Same. This is getting harder to hide, but I don't want to stop. His wife, his Angelica, who'd made him breakfast every Sunday, who'd held his hand during his father's funeral, who'd talked about having a baby soon. That Angelica had been meeting someone, Dr. Mitchell, every Thursday at 2 o'clock. Michael's mind raced back through his memories, trying to place the timeline. Thursday afternoons. She'd said she had a yoga class. He'd never questioned it. Why would he? Angelica wasn't the type to lie, or so he'd thought. He looked at the new message again, the one from yesterday. Someone didn't know Angelica was dead. Someone was still expecting to meet her next week. His phone, his own phone, sat next to Angelica's on the table. He picked it up, opened his contacts, and called the only person who might have answers, Angelica's best friend, Diana. "Michael, hi." Diana's voice was warm, concerned. "How are you holding up?" "Di, I need to ask you something." His voice cracked. "Did Angelica have a doctor named Mitchell?" The silence on the other end stretched too long. "Diana." "Michael, why are you asking me this?" Her tone had shifted, careful now, guarded. "Please, I found messages on her phone from someone called Dr. Mitchell. Were they? Was she?" "Oh, God." Diana's voice dropped to a whisper. "You weren't supposed to find out. Not like this. Not ever, really." The confirmation hit him like a physical blow. "You knew?" "Michael, it's not what you think. It's complicated." "Complicated?" His voice rose. "My dead wife was having an affair, and you knew about it? How is that complicated?" "She wasn't having an affair," Diana said quickly. "Not like that. Dr. Mitchell isn't—" "Michael, where are you right now?" "Home, in the kitchen, looking at messages that prove my wife was lying to me for months." His hands shook so badly he nearly dropped the phone. "Tell me the truth. All of it." Diana took a shaky breath. "Dr. Mitchell is a therapist. Angelica was seeing her for counseling. But Michael, there's more. There's so much more, and I promised Angelica I would never tell you, but she's gone, and you're hurting, and I think you deserve to know what she was dealing with." If you're enjoying this story so far, pause and comment, "I am enjoying this story," below. Michael gripped the phone tighter. What was she dealing with? What didn't she tell me? "Not over the phone. Can I come over? I'm 20 minutes away. I have something I need to show you. Something Angelica left with me before she died." "What? What did she leave?" "Letters," Diana said softly. "She wrote you letters. 4 of them. She made me promise to only give them to you if you ever found out the truth. I never thought you would. I hoped you wouldn't have to carry this." Michael ended the call and stared at Angelica's phone again. He scrolled through more messages with Dr. Mitchell. Appointments, brief check-ins, nothing romantic, nothing sexual. Just consistent, regular contact with a therapist Angelica had hidden from him. But why? They'd always talked about everything, hadn't they? He opened Angelica's photo gallery next, scrolling through thousands of images. Most were normal, pictures of food, sunsets, the 2 of them together. But then he found a folder labeled Journal, buried in a subfolder within a subfolder. Inside were screenshots of typed notes, entries dated and organized. His cursor hovered over the first one, dated 2 years and 3 months before her death. The preview showed only the first line. "I don't know how to tell Michael that I've been lying to him since the day we met." Michael's vision blurred. He clicked the entry and began to read. "I don't know how to tell Michael that I've been lying to him since the day we met. Not about loving him, that's the most honest thing about me, but about who I was before him, the life I left behind, the people I ran from. He thinks I'm from Portland, that my parents died in a car accident when I was 23, that I was an only child. None of it is true. My real name isn't even Angelica Chen. It's Rebecca Westfield, and I have a sister named Claire who probably still thinks I'm dead." Michael couldn't breathe. The words swam before his eyes. He kept reading. "I came to California to disappear. I had reasons. Good reasons. Reasons I thought justified leaving everything behind and becoming someone new. But meeting Michael changed everything. He made me want to be the person I was pretending to be. Honest, open, free from the past. I started seeing Dr. Mitchell 8 months ago because the weight of these secrets was crushing me. She's helping me figure out how to tell him the truth, how to explain why I lied about everything. I'm terrified he'll leave me when he knows, but I'm more terrified of living this lie forever." Michael sat frozen, the phone clutched in his hands. His wife, his Angelica, had been someone else entirely. Someone named Rebecca Westfield who'd faked her own death and reinvented herself. The woman he'd loved, the woman he'd married, the woman he'd mourned for 18 months. She'd been living a lie their entire relationship. But why? What had she been running from? He scrolled to the next entry, dated 6 months later. Dr. Mitchell thinks I should tell him soon. The longer I wait, the worse it gets. But there's more to it than just the new identity. There's the money I took when I left. It's in an account Michael doesn't know about. $375,000 that technically doesn't belong to me. I told myself I earned it, that I deserved it after what they put me through. But the truth is more complicated than that. And if Michael finds out, he might not just leave me. He might hate me. The doorbell rang, snapping Michael out of his stupor. Diana. He stood on shaky legs and walked to the front door, still holding Angelica's phone. Diana stood on the porch, her eyes red and swollen. In her hands, she held a manila envelope. "I'm so sorry, Michael. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I promised her. She made me swear." Michael stepped aside to let her in. They walked to the living room in silence. Diana sat on the couch, the envelope on her lap. Michael remained standing, couldn't make himself sit down. "How much did you know?" he asked. "Most of it, not everything. Angelica told me about her past about a year before she died. She was working up the courage to tell you. The therapy was helping her figure out how." "Her name was Rebecca." Diana nodded. "Rebecca Westfield. She grew up in Minnesota, not Portland, and her family didn't die in a car accident. They're very much alive. Or were, as of 2 years ago." "Why did she run? Why did she lie to me?" Diana's eyes filled with tears. "Because she was scared. Her family, Michael, they're not good people. Her father, Charles Westfield, runs a pharmaceutical company. On paper, it's legitimate, but Rebecca discovered he was involved in illegal drug trials, experiments on patients who didn't know what they were agreeing to. People died. She found proof, documented everything, and when she confronted him, he threatened her, told her she'd have an accident if she went to the authorities." Michael felt the floor tilt beneath him. "So she stole money and disappeared." "The money was her inheritance from her grandmother. Technically hers, but her father controlled it. She emptied the account and ran, changed her name, moved across the country, started over. That's when she met you. And she never told me any of this. She wanted to. God, Michael, she was going to tell you. She had a plan. Dr. Mitchell was helping her prepare. But then the accident happened and—" "What accident?" Michael's voice was sharp. "Tell me about the accident, Diana, because I'm starting to wonder if it really was an accident at all." Diana's face went pale. "What are you saying?" "Angelica, Rebecca, whoever she was, she'd been hiding from dangerous people for years. She had evidence of criminal activity. She stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from her own father. And then one day, her brakes just happened to fail on a steep hill." Michael could hear his voice rising, but he couldn't stop it. "Did you ever question that? Did anyone?" "The police investigated. They said it was mechanical failure. The brake line had corroded. Or it was cut." Michael sank into the chair across from Diana. "Oh God, what if someone found her? What if they killed her?" Diana opened the envelope and pulled out 4 letters, each in a separate sealed envelope with Michael's name written in Angelica's handwriting. She wrote these over the course of 6 months. The last one is dated 3 days before she died. She was planning to give them to you herself, but she wanted to have them as backup in case she couldn't find the words in person. Michael took the letters with trembling hands. The paper felt impossibly heavy. "There's one more thing," Diana said quietly. "The text you saw on her phone from yesterday. I might know who sent that. Angelica's sister, Claire, knew about the therapy appointments. Angelica had started reaching out to her, very carefully, trying to mend that relationship. They were going to meet. Angelica was going to tell you everything, come clean about her past, and try to reconcile with her family, or at least with Claire. Her sister doesn't know she's dead? I don't know how to reach her. Angelica kept that information completely separate for safety. But if Claire is still trying to contact her, if she's expecting to meet next week, Michael, this might be your chance to get answers about who Angelica really was, about what really happened to her. Michael looked down at the 4 letters in his hands. Behind him, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the living room floor, the same room where he and Angelica had danced on New Year's Eve, where they'd argued about paint colors, where he'd proposed to her on one knee with shaking hands, and she'd said yes through tears of joy. Everything he'd believed about his life had been a carefully constructed illusion. His wife had been someone else. Their entire relationship had been built on lies. And now she was gone, leaving only these letters in a trail of secrets that might lead to the truth or might lead to danger. He looked up at Diana. I need to know everything. Read me the letters, all of them, right now. Diana shook her head. She wanted you to read them alone. They're private, between you and her. She's dead, Diana. Privacy doesn't... His voice broke. I need to understand. I need to know who I was married to. Diana stood, placed her hand on his shoulder. Then read them. But Michael, be prepared. The truth changes everything. And there's one more thing Angelica wanted you to know. Something she told me to tell you if you ever found out. She loved you more than anything in this world. Everything she did, every lie she told, it was to protect you. She didn't want you caught up in her mess. After Diana left, Michael sat alone in the dimming light, 4 letters spread on the coffee table before him. He picked up the first one, postmarked 8 months before Angelica's death, and broke the seal. My dearest Michael, it began, if you're reading this, then you know my greatest secret, and I'm so sorry. Michael read through the night, each letter unfolding another layer of the woman he thought he knew. By the time dawn broke through the living room windows, he'd read all 4 letters 3 times each, and his understanding of his entire marriage had been shattered and rebuilt into something unrecognizable. The first letter explained how Rebecca Westfield had become Angelica Chen, how at 24 she'd witnessed her father's pharmaceutical company conducting unauthorized drug trials on homeless patients at a facility in Minneapolis, how she'd gathered evidence, lab reports, patient files, internal memos, proving not only the illegal trials, but also that several patients had died and been quietly disposed of. How her father had discovered what she was doing and had calmly explained to her over dinner that accidents happened to people who made poor decisions about family loyalty. She'd run that very night, emptied her trust fund, drove to Chicago, paid cash for everything, and disappeared. A lawyer she'd contacted had helped her obtain new identification documents, legally questionable, but technically valid. She'd chosen the name Angelica because it meant princess in Hebrew, and Chen because it was common enough to hide behind. She'd moved to California, gotten a job as a receptionist at a dental office, and tried to become invisible. Then she'd met Michael at a coffee shop. He'd been grading papers at the table next to her. She'd been reading a book on physics, trying to understand the universe through science since nothing else made sense anymore. He'd noticed the book, made a joke about quantum mechanics, and she'd laughed, really laughed, for the first time in 8 months. The second letter detailed their courtship from her perspective, how guilty she'd felt with each lie, how she'd fallen in love despite telling herself she couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't, how Michael had made her want to be better, be honest, be real, how she'd started seeing Dr. Mitchell to work through the trauma and figure out how to come clean without destroying everything. The third letter was dated 3 months before her death and was different in tone, anxious, urgent. Someone knows where I am, she'd written. I don't know how they found me, but I've seen the same car parked across the street 3 times this week. A black sedan with tinted windows. Today I saw it following me to the grocery store. I'm scared, Michael. I'm so scared. I called Claire from a burner phone yesterday. She told me things have gotten worse at home. Father's company is under investigation by the FDA. She thinks he might be getting desperate. I've started keeping copies of my evidence in multiple locations. One with Dr. Mitchell, one in a safety deposit box at the bank on 5th Street, one with Claire. If something happens to me, you need to know this wasn't an accident. I need you to promise me something. If I die suddenly, please contact Agent Angelica Rodriguez at the FBI field office in Minneapolis. Tell her Rebecca Westfield found more evidence. Tell her to look at the safety deposit box. The key is taped behind our wedding photo on the bedroom dresser. And Michael, please don't investigate this yourself. These people are dangerous. Let the professionals handle it. Just stay safe. That's all I want, for you to be safe. Michael's hands had trembled as he'd read that part. He'd walked immediately to the bedroom, pulled down the wedding photo, and found the key exactly where she'd said it would be. It had been there for 18 months, just inches from where he slept every night, and he'd never known. The fourth letter was the shortest, written 3 days before her death. Michael, by the time you read this, I'll have told you everything in person. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll lose my courage again. But either way, I need you to know this. Loving you was the most honest thing I ever did. You made me want to be the person I pretended to be. You made me believe I could be redeemed. Whatever happens next, whatever you decide about us, thank you for giving me 3 years of happiness I never thought I deserved. You showed me what it feels like to be truly seen, truly loved, truly safe. Even if it was based on lies, the love was real. That part was always, always real. I love you, Michael Chen. In every life, in every universe, in every version of reality, I would choose you. Now, as morning light filled the room, Michael made a decision. He picked up his phone and called Diana. "Did you sleep?" she asked, answering on the first ring. "No, Diana, I need you to tell me everything you know about Angelica's sister. How can I reach Claire?" "Michael, I don't think that's a good idea. These people are probably responsible for my wife's death. Angelica said someone was following her. She said her father was under investigation. I need to know if her death was really an accident." The police investigated. They said, "The police don't know about any of this, about who she really was, about her family, about the evidence she was hiding. I need to talk to Claire. And I need to talk to that FBI agent Angelica mentioned, Agent Rodriguez." Diana was quiet for a long moment. "If I help you with this, you have to promise me something. Promise you won't do anything dangerous. Promise you'll let the authorities handle it." "I promise." Liar. But Diana sighed. "Okay, I don't have Claire's number, but I know how to reach her. Angelica set up an encrypted email account for them to communicate. It's on her laptop. Do you still have that?" Michael looked at the closed laptop on Angelica's desk, untouched for 18 months. "Yes. The password is the coordinates of where you proposed to her. Numbers only, no spaces. Check the sent folder. There should be messages to an account with just random letters and numbers. That's Claire." After Diana hung up, Michael opened the laptop and typed in the coordinates. 3755194N, 1220459 Lake Tahoe, the place where everything had seemed perfect. The laptop unlocked. He found the encrypted email account exactly where Diana said it would be. The message history showed sporadic communication over 2 years, growing more frequent in the months before Angelica's death. The most recent message from Claire was dated yesterday, the same day as the text message on Angelica's phone. "Rebecca, I'm getting worried. You haven't responded to my last 3 emails. Is everything okay? Father knows we've been in contact. He's been asking questions. I think he might be planning something. Please respond so I know you're safe. We're still on for next week, right? Tuesday at the cafe we discussed?" Michael's heart pounded. He positioned his fingers over the keyboard, then stopped. If he responded pretending to be Angelica, he'd be lying, continuing the deception. But if he told Claire the truth, that Angelica was dead, he might lose his only connection to answers. He made his choice and began typing. Claire, this isn't Rebecca. My name is Michael Chen. I was Rebecca's husband. She was living as Angelica Chen when we married. I need to tell you something, and I'm sorry to do it like this. Rebecca died 18 months ago in a car accident. At least that's what the police said. But I just found out about her real identity and the circumstances she was running from. I have evidence that someone may have been following her before her death. I need to talk to you. I need to know the truth about what happened. If you're willing to meet, I'll be at the cafe Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I'll be wearing a blue jacket and carrying a photo of Rebecca. I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry you're finding out this way. He hit send before he could second-guess himself. Next, he called the FBI field office in Minneapolis and asked for Agent Angelica Rodriguez. He was transferred twice before a professional female voice answered. Agent Rodriguez. My name is Michael Chen. My wife was Rebecca Westfield. She died 18 months ago, but before she died, she told me to contact you if anything happened to her. She said you would know what it meant. The silence on the other end lasted several seconds. Mr. Chen, I'm going to need you to verify some information for me. When did you say your wife died? May 15th, 2 years ago. Car accident in San Francisco. Brake failure. And you're just contacting me now? I just found out who she really was yesterday. She'd been living under an assumed identity. I had no idea about her past until I discovered messages on her old phone. Mr. Chen, I'm going to need you to come to our San Francisco office. Today, if possible. This is an active investigation, and what you're telling me could be crucial. Can you do that? Yes, but I need to know something first. Was my wife's death really an accident? If you're enjoying this story so far, pause and comment, I am enjoying this story, below. Agent Rodriguez's tone softened slightly. Mr. Chen, there are things I can't discuss over the phone, but I can tell you that the name Rebecca Westfield has been on my desk for 3 years. We've been building a case against Westfield Pharmaceuticals for illegal human experimentation and fraud. Rebecca was supposed to be one of our witnesses. Then she vanished. We assumed Charles Westfield had gotten to her. If what you're saying is true, if she was living under a new identity all this time, then there are questions we need answered. Can you be here by 2 o'clock? Michael looked at the clock. 9:30. He could make it. I'll be there. There's something else. She left evidence in a safety deposit box. I have the key. Don't go there alone. Come to the office first. We'll go together. Mr. Chen, if your wife's death wasn't an accident, if someone from the Westfield organization was involved, then you might be in danger too. They may not know you exist, but they might be watching anyone connected to Rebecca. After hanging up, Michael sat back, his mind racing. In the span of 12 hours, his entire world had inverted. His quiet life as a high school physics teacher married to a dental receptionist had been a fiction. The real story involved dangerous criminals, federal investigations, murder, and a woman who'd loved him enough to try to protect him by lying about everything. His phone buzzed. An email notification. Claire had responded. Michael, I don't know if I can believe this. Rebecca can't be dead. She can't be. We were supposed to fix things. I was supposed to help her come forward. This is my fault. I should have done more to protect her. I'll be at the cafe Tuesday. I need to see proof. I need to know what happened. And Michael, if you're who you say you are, if you really loved my sister, then please be careful. Our father is a dangerous man. If he finds out you know about Rebecca, if he realizes she left evidence behind, he won't hesitate to silence you too. I've been looking over my shoulder for 2 years. Now you will too. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. Rebecca always said you were a good man who deserved better than her lies. But she loved you. That much I know was true. Michael closed the laptop and looked around the living room. Every object held memories now tinged with questions. The blue vase Angelica had bought at a flea market, had it reminded her of something from her real life? The cookbook she'd used every Sunday. Had Rebecca Westfield learned to cook, or was that skill part of the Angelica Chen costume? He walked to the bedroom and opened Angelica's closet. Her clothes still hung there, untouched. He'd been unable to pack them away. Now he ran his hands over the fabrics, looking at each item with new eyes. In the back, behind her winter coats, he found a small lockbox he'd never noticed before. His heart racing, he tried the key from the wedding photo frame. It didn't fit. This was a combination lock. He tried her birthday. Nothing. His birthday. Nothing. Their anniversary. The lock clicked open. Inside, he found a passport under the name Rebecca Westfield, issued 11 years ago. The photo showed a younger version of Angelica with darker hair and glasses, but unmistakably her. There was also a burner phone, still charged, and a flash drive labeled insurance. Michael pocketed all three items. Then he noticed something else at the bottom of the box, a pregnancy test. Positive. His knees went weak. He sat on the bed, staring at the test. The date on the box indicated it was from 2 weeks before Angelica died. She'd been pregnant. She'd been pregnant and hadn't told him. Or maybe she had been planning to tell him. Maybe that's why she'd finally decided to come clean about everything. Maybe the baby had been the catalyst for truth. Michael pressed his palms to his eyes, overwhelmed. He'd lost his wife. But he'd also lost a child he'd never known existed. A child who would have been 16 months old now. A child who died with Angelica in that car accident. Unless the stress of the pregnancy had been why her guard was down. Unless knowing she was pregnant had distracted her, made her easier to follow, easier to target. His grief, already profound, deepened into something darker. Rage. Someone had taken not just Angelica from him, but their unborn child. Someone had ended 2 lives and tried to make it look like mechanical failure. He put the pregnancy test back in the box and locked it. He would tell Agent Rodriguez about it, but first, he needed a moment. Just a moment to sit with this new loss, this new layer of devastation. His phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Michael Chen? A male voice, older, cultured. Who's asking? My name is Charles Westfield. I believe you were married to my daughter. Michael's blood turned to ice. How did you get this number? Mr. Chen, I understand you've recently been looking into my daughter's past. I understand you've been in contact with her therapist and possibly with my other daughter, Claire. I'm calling to extend an invitation. I'd like to meet with you, today if possible, to discuss Rebecca and to ensure we understand each other clearly. I have nothing to say to you. I think you do. I think you have questions about what happened to Rebecca. I think you might have evidence that belongs to me, and I think you're planning to do something foolish with that evidence. Mr. Chen, I'm not the villain Rebecca painted me to be. She was troubled, paranoid, and she stole from her own family. What happened to her was tragic, but it was an accident. However, if you pursue this investigation, if you go to the authorities with fabricated evidence or conspiracy theories, you'll be making a grave mistake. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a choice. Meet with me this afternoon, hear my side of the story, and we can resolve this like reasonable people. Or continue down this path and discover that Rebecca's paranoia was well-founded, just misdirected. The world is full of dangers, Mr. Chen. Accidents happen, even to high school physics teachers. The line went dead. Michael's hands shook as he lowered the phone. Charles Westfield knew who he was, knew what he was doing, which meant he'd been watching, probably since yesterday, maybe longer. He grabbed his car keys, the flash drive, and Angelica's letters. He would go to the FBI office now, ahead of schedule. He would tell them everything about the phone call, the evidence, the pregnancy test, all of it. As he walked to his car, he noticed a black sedan parked 3 houses down. Tinted windows, engine running. The same car Angelica had written about in her letter. Michael's first instinct was to run back inside and call the police. But instead, he pulled out his phone and took a photo of the license plate. Then he got in his car, started the engine, and began driving toward the FBI office downtown. The black sedan pulled away from the curb and followed him. Michael's pulse hammered in his ears. He was being tailed, just like Angelica had been. He thought about her last moments, driving down that steep hill, pressing the brake pedal, feeling nothing, realizing too late that someone had tampered with her car. Had she known in those final seconds? Had she understood it was murder? He gripped the steering wheel tighter and pressed the accelerator. He needed to reach the FBI office, needed to get these materials into safe hands, needed to tell someone with authority what was happening before he ended up like Angelica. The black sedan kept pace behind him, maintaining a consistent distance, not trying to catch him, just making sure he knew he was being watched. Michael took a sudden right turn without signaling. The sedan followed. He took another turn and another, weaving through residential streets. The sedan stayed with him. His mind raced. Should he drive to a police station instead? Call 911? What would he even say? That he thought he was being followed but wasn't sure? Then he remembered the flash drive in his pocket, the insurance file Angelica had hidden in her closet. Whatever was on that drive, it was important enough for her to label it that way. Important enough to hide in a locked box even from him. He pulled his phone from his pocket, keeping one hand on the wheel, and called Diana again. Michael, what's wrong? I need you to do something for me right now. In my kitchen, there's a laptop on the counter. Take it. Take it to your house and hide it. Don't look at what's on it, just keep it safe. I'm being followed. If something happens to me... Slow down. What do you mean you're being followed? Charles Westfield called me. He knows everything. There's a black sedan that's been tailing me for 10 minutes. I'm heading to the FBI office, but if I don't make it, you need to make sure that laptop gets to Agent Angelica Rodriguez in Minneapolis. Can you do that? I'm coming to your house right now. I'll get the laptop. Michael, please be careful. He ended the call and focused on driving. The FBI office was still 15 minutes away. 15 minutes where anything could happen. At a red light, he glanced in the rearview mirror. The sedan had stopped 2 car lengths behind him. He couldn't see the driver through the tinted windows. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop running, Mr. Chen. You can't outrun the truth, and you certainly can't outrun me. The light turned green. Michael accelerated through the intersection and heard a loud pop from under his hood. Steam began pouring from the engine. The temperature gauge spiked into the red. His car was overheating. Not now. Not like this. He managed to pull into a gas station parking lot before the engine died completely. Steam billowed from under the hood. He got out, looking around frantically. The black sedan had disappeared, but standing near the air pump, watching him with cold eyes, was a man in an expensive suit. Late 60s, silver hair, commanding presence. Charles Westfield. Mr. Chen, he said, walking toward Michael with measured steps. I really wish you'd taken my offer to meet civilly. Now we'll have to do this the hard way. Michael stood frozen in the gas station parking lot, acutely aware of how exposed he was. Charles Westfield looked nothing like a murderer. He looked like a successful businessman, the kind of man who chaired charity boards and played golf at exclusive clubs. But his eyes were flat and cold, empty of empathy. Don't come any closer, Michael said, his hand moving to his phone. I've already contacted the FBI. They know everything. Do they? Charles smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Or did you just discover your wife's secrets yesterday and you're scrambling to make sense of pieces you don't fully understand? Let me save you some time, Mr. Chen. Rebecca was sick, mentally ill. She manufactured evidence against me because she had paranoid delusions. What happened to her was a tragedy, but it was an accident. The police investigated. They found nothing suspicious. Because they didn't know who she really was. They didn't know someone had been following her. Following her? Charles shook his head sadly. More paranoia. Rebecca saw threats everywhere. It's why she ran from her family, why she changed her name, why she died thinking someone was after her. But the only person who was a danger to Rebecca was Rebecca herself. Michael's phone buzzed in his pocket. He wanted desperately to look at it, but he couldn't take his eyes off Charles. "I loved my daughter," Charles continued, stepping closer. "What father wouldn't?" But she was troubled. "And now you're showing the same irrational pattern of behavior, making accusations, running to the authorities with conspiracy theories. It's grief, Mr. Chen. It's making you see connections that don't exist." "Then why are you here? Why did you have someone follow me? Why did my car conveniently break down?" "Your car is 12 years old. Things break. As for why I'm here, I wanted to speak with you before you made a terrible mistake, before you damaged my company's reputation with false allegations. I'm offering you a solution. I'll pay you $2 million for any evidence Rebecca may have left behind. Documents, recordings, whatever manufactured proof she created in her disturbed state. In return, you move on with your life. You grieve your wife in peace. You forget this conspiracy theory. Everyone wins. You're trying to buy my silence. I'm trying to prevent you from embarrassing yourself and dishonoring Rebecca's memory. The evidence she claimed to have? It's falsified. If you take it to the FBI, experts will prove it's fake, and you'll look like a grieving husband who lost his grip on reality. But if you give it to me, I can ensure Rebecca is remembered as the beautiful, troubled woman she was, not as a delusional thief who betrayed her family." Michael studied Charles's face, looking for cracks in the facade. "Angelica, Rebecca, she was pregnant when she died. Did you know that?" For just a second, something flickered in Charles's expression. Surprise? Regret? It was gone too quickly to identify. "I didn't know. I'm sorry for your loss. Another reason to accept my offer, Mr. Chen. Take the money, start over, maybe start a new family. Don't waste your life chasing ghosts." "I want to hear you say it," Michael said quietly. "Did you kill her? Did you have someone tamper with her brakes?" Charles's face hardened. "I loved my daughter. I would never hurt her. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. And if you continue down this path, you'll discover that I have resources you can't imagine. Legal resources. Your teaching career, your reputation, your freedom, all of it can disappear faster than you can blink. Or you can take the money and walk away. Those are your only two options." "There's a third option," Michael said. "I can tell the truth, no matter what it costs me." Charles sighed, like a disappointed parent. "Then you're as foolish as Rebecca was, and just as doomed." He turned and walked away, climbing into a sleek Mercedes parked at the edge of the lot. The car drove away, leaving Michael alone with his steaming, broken-down vehicle. Michael pulled out his phone. 3 texts from Diana. "Got the laptop. I'm hiding it at my sister's house." "Are you okay?" "Michael, answer me." 1 text from Agent Rodriguez. "Mr. Chen, where are you? You were supposed to be here 30 minutes ago." And 1 text from the unknown number. "Final warning, drop this now." Michael called a rideshare and within 20 minutes was sitting in Agent Rodriguez's office at the FBI building. She was younger than he'd expected, maybe late 30s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Tell me everything," she said after closing the door. Michael did. He started with finding the messages on Angelica's phone and ended with his confrontation with Charles Westfield 30 minutes ago. He gave her the flash drive, told her about the safety deposit box, showed her the pregnancy test and Angelica's letters. Agent Rodriguez listened without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad. When he finished, she leaned back in her chair. "Mr. Chen, I need to be honest with you. The case against Westfield Pharmaceuticals has been difficult to build. Charles Westfield is very careful. He uses intermediaries, destroys evidence, intimidates witnesses. We've been investigating him for 3 years, but everything we have is circumstantial. The evidence Rebecca claimed to have could change that. But I need to know, have you looked at what's on this flash drive?" "No, I found it this morning and came straight here after Westfield confronted me. She plugged the flash drive into her computer. The file directory showed dozens of folders, lab reports, patient files, financial records, internal memos, recorded conversations. Agent Rodriguez opened the first audio file. Charles Westfield's voice filled the room, discussing payment to a hospital administrator for access to vulnerable subjects for drug trials. The recording was date-stamped 4 years ago. She opened a patient file. A homeless man named James Thornton had been enrolled in a trial for an experimental cardiac drug. According to the notes, he died within a week. Cause of death listed as natural causes, but handwritten notes in the margin read, subject showed severe adverse reactions. Protocol violation. Do not report to IRB. File after file showed the same pattern. Unauthorized trials, falsified consent forms, deaths covered up or attributed to other causes. Financial trails showing payments to doctors and administrators who looked the other way. This is it, Agent Rodriguez breathed. This is everything we needed. Mr. Chen, your wife documented everything. She dated it, cross-referenced it, even annotated it with explanations of the legal violations. She wasn't paranoid. She was right. Her father was conducting illegal human experiments, and people were dying. If you're enjoying this story so far, pause and comment, I am enjoying this story, below. So what happens now? Michael asked. Now I get a warrant for Charles Westfield's arrest. We'll raid Westfield Pharmaceuticals, seize their records, interview witnesses. With this evidence, we can build a case that'll put him away for decades. But Mr. Chen, I need you to understand something. You're a witness now. You're part of this case. And that means you're in danger until we have Charles Westfield in custody. He offered me $2 million to give him the evidence and disappear. He was probably planning to kill you as soon as you handed it over. Men like Charles Westfield don't leave loose ends. If he killed Rebecca, and I think he did, he won't hesitate to eliminate anyone else who threatens him. Michael felt the weight of it settling over him. His quiet life was over. Angelica's lies hadn't just been about protecting herself, they'd been about protecting him. By keeping him ignorant, she'd kept him safe. Now that he knew the truth, he was a target. I need to get that safety deposit box opened, Agent Rodriguez said. If there's more evidence in there, we need it secured immediately. Can you take me there now? Yes, but I need to do something first. Angelica's sister Claire, she's supposed to meet me Tuesday. She doesn't know Angelica's dead. I need to tell her in person. Mr. Chen, I don't think that's wise. Claire Westfield could be... She's not involved. Angelica trusted her. She was helping Angelica plan to come forward. I need to tell her what happened, and I need to understand more about Angelica's life before me. Please. Agent Rodriguez considered this. Okay, but you don't go alone. I'll have agents with you. If Claire is who she says she is, she'll understand the precautions. Tuesday afternoon, Michael sat at a small cafe in Berkeley, wearing the blue jacket he'd promised, with Angelica's photo on the table beside his untouched coffee. 2 FBI agents sat at separate tables, pretending to read newspapers, but watching everything. At 2 o'clock exactly, a woman entered the cafe. She looked eerily like Angelica, same bone structure, same eyes, but with lighter hair and more delicate features. She spotted Michael immediately, her gaze going to the photo on his table. Her face crumpled. It's true, she whispered, sliding into the seat across from him. She's really gone. I'm sorry, Michael said. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. Claire picked up the photo with shaking hands. This is from your wedding. She sent me a picture, but not this one. She looks so happy. Was she? Was she really happy? Yes, Michael said, and he meant it. Whatever lies Angelica had told, the happiness had been real. She loved me. I know that now. And she loved you. She was planning to reconcile with you, to tell me the truth, to fix everything. And then Father killed her. Claire's voice was flat, certain. We think so. The FBI is building a case. I gave them evidence Angelica collected. They're going to arrest him. Claire's eyes widened. Do they have enough? Father is careful. He's always so careful. They have recordings, documents, patient files, everything Angelica gathered over years. She documented it all. For the first time, Claire smiled, a bitter, satisfied smile. She was always smarter than Father gave her credit for. He thought he could scare her into silence, but instead, she outsmarted him. She got out, gathered evidence, and even in death, she's going to bring him down. That's justice. Tell me about her, Michael said. Tell me who she was before she became Angelica. I need to understand. Claire talked for an hour, painting a picture of Rebecca Westfield that was both familiar and foreign. Rebecca had been passionate about justice, even as a child. She defended bullied kids at school, volunteered at homeless shelters, dreamed of becoming a doctor to help people. When she discovered what her father was doing, it had broken something fundamental in her worldview. She couldn't live with the knowledge, Claire said, couldn't wake up every day in the house where he slept, eating food bought with blood money. She told me she felt like she was suffocating. When she ran, I understood. I was angry she didn't take me with her, but I understood. Why didn't you go with her? Someone had to stay, to watch Father, to gather information, to be ready when the time came. Rebecca was the brave one who escaped. I was the coward who stayed behind and documented everything. We were a team, even across the distance. Michael felt a surge of respect for this woman who'd spent years living in the enemy's house, quietly collecting evidence against her own father. You're not a coward, you're a survivor. We both are, Claire said. Rebecca survived by becoming someone else. I survived by pretending I didn't know what he was doing. But Michael, there's something I need to tell you. Something Rebecca wanted you to know, but never got the chance to say. Michael leaned forward, heart pounding. The pregnancy, Claire said softly. She knew about it 2 weeks before she died. She'd been planning to tell you that weekend. She'd made a reservation at a nice restaurant, had the ultrasound picture in her purse. She was going to tell you everything, about her real identity, about Father, about the baby, all of it. She wanted to start fresh, build a real life with you based on truth. Tears blurred Michael's vision. She never got the chance. No, because Father found out she was planning to talk. I don't know how. Maybe he had someone watching her therapist, or maybe he'd been monitoring her communications more closely than we realized. But 3 days before your dinner reservation, her brakes failed on that hill. The police ruled it mechanical failure, but I knew. I knew Father had killed her, and I couldn't prove it. I couldn't save her. Claire wiped her own tears away. But now we can get justice. Now the evidence she gathered will do what she couldn't do in life. It'll stop him. Agent Rodriguez appeared at their table. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got word. We have the warrant. They're raiding Westfield Pharmaceuticals right now. Mr. Chen, Ms. Westfield, I need you both to come with me. There's been a development. They followed her to a black SUV outside. Agent Rodriguez's phone buzzed constantly as they drove to the FBI office. Her expression grew grimmer with each message. What's wrong? Michael asked. Charles Westfield is gone. When agents arrived at his office, it was empty. His secretary said he left yesterday for an overseas business trip. No flight plan filed. No indication of where he went. His passport shows he boarded a private plane to the Cayman Islands. But from there, the trail goes cold. He knew we were coming. Michael felt sick. Someone tipped him off. We have a leak, or he was monitoring you more closely than we thought. Either way, he's disappeared. We've seized his company's files, frozen his domestic assets, issued an international warrant. But men like Charles Westfield have resources offshore. He could hide for years. What about everyone else involved? Claire asked. The doctors who conducted the trials, the administrators who covered it up. We're rounding them up now. They'll face charges. But without Charles, the case is weaker. He was the architect. Everyone else was just following orders, and they'll all claim they didn't know the full extent of what was happening. They spent the next 3 hours at the FBI office, giving detailed statements. Michael turned over the contents of the safety deposit box. More evidence, more recordings, more proof of Charles Westfield's crimes. It was overwhelming and damning, and still, somehow, not enough to find the man himself. As the sun set, Agent Rodriguez walked Michael and Claire to the exit. "I know this isn't the resolution you wanted, but we will find him. International fugitives almost always make mistakes, and when we do catch him, he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. I promise you that." Outside, Claire turned to Michael. "What will you do now?" "I don't know. Go back to teaching, I suppose. Try to figure out who I am now that everything I thought I knew is different. Rebecca would want you to be happy. She told me that once. She said the only thing that made her sacrifices worthwhile was knowing that you were safe and happy. I can't be happy knowing he's out there, knowing he killed her and got away with it." Claire squeezed his hand. "He didn't get away with it. He lost his company, his reputation, his life in America. He's a fugitive living in fear, looking over his shoulder forever. That's not getting away with it. That's its own kind of prison." Over the following weeks, Michael tried to return to normal life. He went back to work, taught his classes, graded papers, but everything felt hollow. Every night he reread Angelica's letters, trying to understand the woman who'd loved him enough to lie, to protect, to sacrifice. The media ran stories about the Westfield pharmaceutical scandal. Patients who'd suffered in the illegal trials came forward. Families of those who died demanded justice. The company collapsed, its stock worthless, its facilities seized. But Charles Westfield remained missing. 3 months after their initial meeting, Michael invited Claire to dinner at his house. She'd become his connection to Angelica's real past, and slowly they developed a friendship built on shared grief and determination. "I have something to show you," Claire said as they sat in the living room after dinner. She pulled out a laptop and opened a video file. "I found this in some old family videos. I think you should see it." The video showed a teenage Rebecca at a family gathering, maybe 15 years old. She was laughing, full of life, arguing passionately about something with her grandfather. The resemblance to Angelica was striking, but incomplete. This girl had an openness, an innocence that Angelica had lost. "This is who she was before everything happened," Claire said softly. "Before father corrupted everything. She was so full of hope and belief that the world could be better." Michael watched the screen, seeing his wife smile in this stranger's face. She kept some of that. Even after everything, she still believed in goodness, in truth, in justice. "She believed in you," Claire said. "You gave her hope when she thought she'd lost it forever." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the video loop. Then Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Agent Rodriguez. "Turn on the news, now." Michael grabbed the remote and switched on the TV. Every major channel was covering the same story. Charles Westfield had been found dead in a hotel room in Singapore. Initial reports suggested suicide. A note had been left. Michael's hands went numb. Claire gasped beside him. Agent Rodriguez called seconds later. "Mr. Chen, I wanted you to hear this from me before the media gets the details. Charles Westfield is dead. It appears he took his own life. The note he left was brief. He confessed to ordering Rebecca's murder and expressed remorse for his crimes. We're treating it as credible, but there will be an investigation to rule out foul play." "He confessed?" Michael could barely process it. "Yes, he admitted to having Rebecca's brakes tampered with. He said he thought he was protecting his company, his legacy, but that the guilt had destroyed him. With his empire gone, his reputation ruined, facing international charges, he chose this way out. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen. I know you wanted him to face trial." After the call ended, Michael and Claire sat in stunned silence. The man who'd killed Rebecca was dead. The truth was finally public. Justice, in its own twisted way, had been served. "Do you think it's real?" Claire asked. "Do you think he really killed himself? Or did someone get to him? Someone who didn't want him testifying?" "Does it matter?" Michael said. "Either way, he's gone. He can't hurt anyone else." Rebecca would have wanted him to face trial, to publicly answer for what he did. Maybe, or maybe she would have wanted exactly this, for him to admit what he did and face his own conscience. We'll never know. In the weeks that followed, Michael found himself thinking differently about Angelica's lies. She'd created a false identity to survive, yes, but in doing so, she'd created something real. A love that had transcended the deception. She'd been Rebecca Westfield, damaged and running, and she'd been Angelica Chen, hopeful and healing. Both versions had loved him. Both versions had been real. He started writing down his own story, trying to make sense of the past 2 years. The grief, the discovery, the investigation, the resolution. Writing became therapy, a way to process the impossible reality he'd lived through. 6 months after Charles Westfield's death, Michael received a package from a law firm. Inside was a letter from Angelica's lawyer, the one who'd helped her create her new identity years ago. "Dear Mr. Chen, I was instructed by my client, Angelica Chen, formerly Rebecca Westfield, to deliver this package to you in the event of her death and the resolution of her father's crimes. She prepared this before she died, hoping you'd never need to read it, but wanting you to have it if circumstances required. Inside, you'll find the full truth of her life, in her own words, along with something she wanted you to have." The package contained a journal, years of Rebecca's handwritten entries, documenting her transformation from Rebecca to Angelica, her falling in love with Michael, her fears and hopes and dreams. The final entry was dated the day before she died. "Tomorrow I tell Michael everything. Tomorrow I show him the ultrasound and explain that our baby will be born into truth, not lies. I'm terrified he'll hate me for deceiving him, but I'm more terrified of continuing this way. If you're reading this, Michael, it means I never got my chance to be brave. It means something went wrong. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for the lies and the secrets and the danger I brought into your life. But please know this. Loving you was the truest thing I ever did. You made me believe I could be better than my past. You made me want to try. Whatever happens, thank you for 3 years of honest love in a life full of dishonest survival. Thank you for being my safe place. Thank you for being you." Attached to the final page was an ultrasound photo, 7 weeks along, a tiny blob that would have been their child. Michael pressed his fingers to the image, grieving anew for a future that had been stolen. But beneath the grief, something else emerged. Gratitude. For the time they'd had. For the love that had been real, even when the identities weren't. For Angelica's courage in trying to build a better life, despite impossible circumstances. He thought about the question that had haunted him since finding those messages on her phone. Had their marriage been real if it was built on lies? And now, finally, he had his answer. Yes, because love isn't about perfect honesty. It's about choosing each other despite imperfections, despite pasts, despite fears. Angelica had chosen him every day in every way that mattered. She'd protected him, loved him, tried to build a future with him. The name she'd used was false, but the commitment had been real. Michael placed the ultrasound photo in a frame next to their wedding picture on his dresser. 2 reminders of the life they'd built and the life they'd almost had. 2 pieces of a story that was both tragic and beautiful. A year later, Michael stood at Angelica's grave with Claire beside him. They'd become family, bonded by their shared connection to Rebecca/Angelica and their joint determination to honor her memory. The headstone now bore both names, Angelica Chen and Rebecca Westfield, with the dates of her birth and death and a simple inscription Michael had chosen. She loved bravely and lived truly. She'd be proud of you, Claire said, of how you've handled all of this, of how you've chosen to remember her. I'm trying to live the way she would have wanted, teaching kids to question, to think critically, to stand up for truth. It's not much, but it's something. It's everything, Claire said. It's exactly what she would have wanted. As they walked back to the car, Michael thought about the phone that had started this entire journey. Angelica's old phone with its cracked screen and impossible message. He'd kept it, unable to let it go. Sometimes he still powered it on, scrolled through her photos, read her journal entries, not to torture himself, but to remember, to honor the complexity of who she'd been. That night, Michael sat at his desk and opened his laptop. He'd been working on a book, the full story of Rebecca Westfield and Angelica Chen, of corruption and courage, of lies and love. Agent Rodriguez had approved him writing it, said it might help other people trapped in impossible situations find the courage to come forward. He typed the final words of the manuscript. In the end, Angelica taught me that identity is not about the name you're given or the past you carry. It's about the choices you make, the people you love, and the legacy you leave behind. She was Rebecca Westfield, victim of her father's crimes. She was Angelica Chen, my wife and partner. She was both and neither, someone entirely her own. And in every version of herself, she was brave. That's how I choose to remember her. Not as the woman who lied to me, but as the woman who loved me enough to try to become better. In a world full of deception, that truth is enough. Michael saved the document, backed it up to multiple locations, he'd learned that lesson well, and leaned back in his chair. Outside his window, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Angelica's favorite colors. He picked up the phone, not Angelica's old one, but his current one, and called Claire. "Hey," she answered, "how's the writing going?" "I finished it, the whole story start to finish." "How do you feel?" Michael considered the question. "Sad, grateful, hopeful, all of it at once." "That sounds about right," Rebecca would approve. They talked for another hour about nothing important. Claire's new job, Michael's upcoming summer break, plans for a memorial scholarship in Angelica's name. Normal things, healing things. After hanging up, Michael walked to the bedroom and looked at the two photos on his dresser. Angelica laughing at Lake Tahoe, and the ultrasound of their child who never was. The weight of grief was still there, would always be there, but it no longer crushed him. Instead, it grounded him, reminded him of what mattered. He'd started this journey trying to sell a phone and had discovered a conspiracy, a murder, and a love more complex than any fiction. He'd learned that truth was messy, that justice was imperfect, and that the people we love are never quite who we think they are. And that's okay. We love them anyway. We honor them anyway. We carry their memory forward anyway. Michael turned off the light and climbed into bed. Tomorrow he'd teach his students about physics and the observable universe. But tonight, he let himself remember the unobservable things, love and courage, and the human capacity for both deception and redemption. Those forces, he'd learned, were more powerful than gravity, more complex than quantum mechanics, more real than anything his scientific training had prepared him for. And as he drifted towards sleep, he whispered into the darkness, "Thank you, Angelica, for everything, for the truth and the lies, the joy and the pain, the time we had and the future we lost. You made me understand that loving someone means loving all their versions, the person they were, the person they became, and the person they wanted to be. That's what I'll carry forward. That's how I'll honor you." In the quiet of the night, Michael finally found peace. Not the peace of forgetting, but the deeper peace of acceptance. His wife had been complicated, flawed, brave, and real. She'd loved him the only way she knew how, imperfectly but completely. And in the end, that was enough. That would always be enough.